Why, hello there, and welcome to a stream. Fred was just sitting there doing nothing. The second he heard me start talking, he said, "Oh, is it time to get love and attention?" Yes, he did. That's exactly what he did. Didn't you, you goober boy? Goober boy. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. What? What, Fred? What's up? I swear, it's so funny. Like, he literally was sitting there doing nothing, just doing nothing. And now here he is, begging for attention. Hey there, Sage. Swinging by to say hi. Not going to be in stream tonight. That's fine. Thanks for stopping by. If you don't mind hitting that like button, that would be super awesome. I see people already doing it. You're awesome. Don't even need me to say it. Hey there, Sheepish T-Rex. Hello. Welcome, welcome. And Lauren, hello. Good to see you all. So, yeah, I guess just some basic channel updates, life stuff. Uh oh, Fred. Hey there, Dadzilla. I don't know if any of you saw my weekly post. For those of you who are not aware, I put up like a post on my channel every Monday, kind of going over my schedule and going over like what I'm doing for the week. And I made an executive decision to slightly change my streaming schedule. So, instead of doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm gonna do Tuesday through Friday. So I'm gonna be streaming more. I'm gonna be here 4 days a week streaming. Friday will stay like Friday will still be like a casual chill stream, like gaming or just whatever. But yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will be hitting on the news and politics and stuff, and Fred sniffing a vacuum. It's just a vacuum, buddy. Anyway. Kitty says, "Pet me, mommy." Yeah, no, for real, for real. He like seriously, he was just loafing over here, just like sitting there loafing as I was getting ready for stream. The second I started actually talking, like started saying words out loud, that's when he was like, give me attention, and it's like, okay, buddy, I see you. Oh shit, hold on. I don't understand why Restream sucks, dude. I hate Restream. My monetization was just turned off for no reason on my stream, even though I told Restream to turn it on. Like, I'm glad I don't pay for that service, honestly. I'm glad Restream is like it's free if you just want to do like Twitch and YouTube or whatever. Thank goodness for that, because honestly, it like stuck. Like, genuinely. Did it get the category right? Yeah, news and politics. Okay, what about Twitch? Is Twitch set up properly? Politics? Oh, what's going on here? It says Twitch is offline. Uh, uh-oh. Is my Twitch offline right now? Oh God. What's happening? Um, yeah, it says my Twitch is offline. What the dude? I I hate Restream so much. I hate it so freaking much. Not currently broadcasting. What? Why? It's there? So it is live? Oh, there it is. Okay, it just popped up. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it says it's still I don't know. The preview says offline. It said it was offline. It just popped up live. So, I guess now it's working. I don't really know what's going on with that. Anyway, Sorry, I got stressed there for a second. I was like, why is the thing not working? Anyway, yes. So I will be here Tuesday through Friday streaming. Um, I just think it'll be better to be a little more consistently present. I was removed from your following list though. Weird. Super weird. Um, but yeah, I will be here a little more presently. I just feel like that'll be good for the channel. It'll be good for everything. So I appreciate everybody for the support on the streams lately. I did release a video on Monday, and it is doing incredibly bad in the algorithm. Um, you re-added, but it's still odd. Yeah, that is odd. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's just not like a popular topic or whatever. Um, but it was about the Ohio governor's race. Because there's some drama going on about that. Today we're going to be talking about news and politics. Yippee-ki-yay. So we are going yeah, I just saw the follow number went up by 1. But I didn't even get a notification that you refollowed me. Dude, technology like straight up sucks. Straight up sucks. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be talking about the Michigan primary, and we're going to be talking about some other stuff as well. I definitely want to try to do something a little new that I don't normally do on stream. So we will check that out here in a bit. But but I want to try to pull up something here. Uh so one thing that I saw kind of floating around, one thing the internet, once you understand it, is magic and a maybe. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Another gal had her stream anniversary, and like half of us had no idea, including her. I'm sure it's Twitch itself. That's really funny. That's pretty funny. Twitch sucks. But anyway, I saw this story. I don't know exactly. Where is this? Yeah, here we go. So Washington proposed a ballot measure, and this ballot measure is pretty bad, everybody. It ain't great. It has to do with essentially genital inspections. And I don't know if I'm like far enough into the stream to be able to say that without like getting nuked by the YouTube overlords. But essentially, the thing that the like trans rights activists have been warning about issues when it comes to trans rights, like obviously, yes, it's about trans rights, but it is about more than that as well. Like, yes, we're talking about trans rights, but there are a lot of like issues that, like, if you target trans people, will hurt cis people as well. Like, there's a lot of instances of that. And for some reason, like, like obviously the general population is not super aware of this stuff. So like, something that trans rights advocates have been doing for a long time is like warning people like, hey, if you institute these like bans and if you institute these anti-trans laws, it's not just about trans women, like it or trans people in general. It's going to affect everybody. Like a lot of people are going to get hurt by this stuff, and a lot of people are going to be affected by this stuff. And and a lot of it makes sense if you really think about it. Like if you think about it for more than half of a second, then you kind of like understand why, right? Like if you try to say that a woman is a very specific kind of biology or whatever, then like there could be women that don't fit under that. Like if you say, oh, every woman, like women count as someone with, the reproductive organs, um like that, people stereotypically think of as female or whatever. Well, there are like non-trans people who are intersex who have like non-standard reproductive organs. Like or if you say like, oh, being a woman is about fertility or being able to make babies. well, there's a lot of cis women who can't have babies. Like, you see where I'm going with this, where like there's a lot of things that if you try to reduce what a woman is down to a very simple definition, it just doesn't work. And this is like a very, very, very common issue. Like, you can see this with everything, right? Like, like every time you create a category, if you try to create an extremely strict definition of what belongs in that category, oftentimes you are going to completely fuck everything up. Like for instance, a really, really like a non-political example would be like chairs, right? You have the category of chairs, right? Um, like, okay, then define what a chair is, you know? And if you say something with 4 legs, well, what about stools with 3 legs? Right? Are those not chairs? Like, of course they're chairs. You say like, oh, okay, it has a back to it, and like, okay, stools don't have a back to it. You can go and go and go, and you can keep like trying to define what a chair is, and you will keep running into this wall where the second you create a strict definition, you suddenly realize that like there are exemptions or exceptions to that definition that still fit within the what we would think of the category of chairs. So this whole conversation about like what is a woman or whatever, it's not just dangerous for cis people or trans people. It's dangerous for cis people too. And it's really, really frustrating because for some reason, and maybe I don't know, I don't really get it. Like, the general population really does not seem to understand this problem. They don't seem to understand why this is problematic, and I think it's because they haven't really dealt with a lot of the kind of dystopian legislation that comes out of this mindset, right? Well, we're going to be talking about a little bit of that dystopian legislation today. So, Washington ballot measure could force all girls to have a genital inspection to play sport. Now, I remember when we started talking about the sports ban, one thing that was brought up constantly was this. Like, hey, if we start like trying to legislate trans girls out of sports, what's the enforcement mechanism for that gonna be? Like, how are you going to determine, like, obviously someone can self-identify publicly as trans, but like, what if someone just doesn't, and then you don't know if they're cis or trans? Like, what do you think about that? And then a lot of people like looked at trans rights activists like they're like insane people. Like, hey, maybe they're gonna like try to inspect like girls' anatomy or something to try to get like, if you want to get on a sports team, you have to go through some kind of inspection or whatever. And everyone looked at us like we were insane. Like, was like, oh, what do you mean you're blah 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 blah. And kind of like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people made us believe like, oh, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I didn't believe that, but like, yeah. Well, anyway, there's this ballot measure in Washington where essentially if this is like school age girls, by the way. This is not like adult women, right? This is like literally for school age girls, like minors, right? Um yeah, this ballot initiative requires girls to be inspected by their doctor and provide documentation of their genitals. Like, insane. Let's see. Liz, hello, welcome. They're already going after intersex women too. They don't care. No, for sure, for sure. And it's not going to stop at intersex women either. Like, there's another story that I'll bring up here in a second. But I sort of wanted to start on this ballot measure here. Just like the planets. Yeah, no, for sure. You can do it with every category, right? And this is why it's really frustrating when people try to act like these strict categorizations are being like destroy like somehow the left is like destroying meaning or something. It's like, no, actually, like language is very loose and very like it's very loose. And it doesn't make sense if you try to like force strict categorization for anything. It doesn't work for anything. And for some reason, there are a lot of people who seem to believe that it does work that way. when in fact it literally doesn't. Um, literally doesn't. And now they suddenly don't remember. Yeah, no, for sure. Like this is a thing that pisses me off is that like oftentimes the left wing, like here on the left, we are correct about things pretty far in advance. Like we'll be talking about stuff and we'll be like, "Hey, just so you know, like these laws targeting trans people are going to have negative effects for like cis people as well." And they look at us like we're insane and they like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about and you don't know what a woman is or you don't know whatever." And then suddenly like it's affecting women, like cis women, and we're like, "Okay, we told you so," you know? But it's like it's the constant shifting of the goalposts and stuff where they just want to act like you know, like none of that stuff, none of those conversations happened before, I guess, because they can always tell. They think it's like any boy can just say they're a girl and immediately get on the girls team. I know that's what they think happens, but that's like obviously not what is happening. And yeah, this brings a question of equal treatment under the law. Are boys being expected as well? No, and that's actually the thing. That's actually the thing that makes me not the most mad about this. I don't want to say that, but like that is one of the things that is so frustrating about this story is that this is the law is literally written to target women. like the law does not here we go. Let's say if passed, this bill would impose this ballot measure would impose would impose special eligibility requirements on athletes from kindergarten through high school, requiring them to certify their sex assigned at birth through genetic screening, a testosterone levels test, or an examination of their reproductive anatomy at yearly sports physicals. So yeah, it it's really frustrating. Here, I'm just gonna read a little bit of this article. Um, I guess I can just pull up that article here. Give me a second. I got a bunch of windows. Oh gosh. What? Give me a second. But okay, so a new highly controversial initiative will be presented to voters in Washington state this fall that would specifically bar trans athletes from participating in girls sports teams, according to a report from the New York Magazine affiliate The Cut. While another legislative attack on trans girls in school sports is sadly nothing new under the Trump administration, the extremism of this particular measure has resulted in strong opposition from advocates of both cis and trans female student athletes. And then I already read this second paragraph here. The Cut interviewed several people who were knowledgeable on the topic or who would be directly affected by the passing of this legislation, most of whom used aliases to protect their privacy. One such person is Maria, a recent high school graduate and lifelong basketball player who says although she never felt violated during annual sports physicals, a a forced genital exam would certainly have changed that. Really? Really? Oh, hey, Ashlyn, thank you so much for the stream streak. That's awesome. You're awesome. Women have many types like men. Agreed. And Kitty Cat also 3 stream streak. Thank you. That's awesome. Isn't it odd that they are inspecting the girls' sports? I thought we were past the exposure of the files corruption, but it seems like they're trying to make that mainstream. Creeps need to be locked up. No, no, for sure. And yeah, it's really depressing that like the Epstein files, like we are all broadly aware of the like extreme pedophilia that's happening throughout the country, like by powerful elected officials and stuff like that. Like we have unearthed the disgusting levels of like sex trafficking that have gone on in this country, and now we're passing laws to make it easier for these people to abuse people. Like are you serious? Yearly checks, who keeps these medical records? Yeah, and that's the thing about this is that like if you want to participate, if you want to be like if you're a girl in high school and you want to play in on the volleyball team. Like let's say you're a cis girl, you're in high school, you want to play on the volleyball team. If you're not comfortable with having your genitals inspected every single year to be on the sports team, then suddenly you're not going to be on the sports team. Like that's good. Like even beyond the potential for abuse, like the idea of having to go through that to be on a sports team, like, I don't know, if I were a young cis girl, I would feel extremely uncomfortable. It would like make me not want to be a part of the sports team, right? So like, really, what this is gonna do is just harm participation in the sports teams overall, and then people that do participate are gonna be vulnerable to abuse. So let me keep reading here. Maria was talking about how she never really felt violated during animal sports physicals, but let's continue reading why here. I have never had to take any clothes off. I never felt uncomfortable or violated, Maria told the Cut, adding if this legislation had passed while she was participating in school sports, she probably would have just dropped out. I honestly don't know if I would be able to do these tests. It would also make me question, if I do it, are all my teammates going to do it too? Or would I just play with the 3 or 4 girls who are willing to or have access to do it? The measure comes amid an ongoing war in this country bought by the far right to save girls' sports. So, like, um, let's see here. Impose measures that ban trans athletes participating in female sports teams, citing concerns around fairness and safety. The official paperwork states its purpose is to protect the integrity and fairness of women's interscholastic sports. Necessitates that students compete in athletic activities consistent with the gender assigned at birth, leveraging the existing physical examination process to verify biological sex ensures equity, safety, and competitive balance in sports intended to be exclusively for female students while respecting the rights and opportunities of all students. So, like within the test here, it says specifically, um, that they have to go through genetic screening, a testosterone test, and an examination of the reproduction anatomy. How many cis women, like how many young girls are going to find out they're intersex through this and then get banned from sports because they're intersex? Like, can you imagine just being a normal high school girl and you want to play on the volleyball team and you go to get an inspection and then suddenly, like, they're like, oh, we did genetic testing and you're actually XY. Like, you have androgen insensitivity and you're XY intersex. Then, like, now you know you're intersex, and what, are they gonna ban you from the sports team? And, like, what, are you supposed to just, like, that's, like, a kind of a traumatic way to find out that you're intersex, to be honest. Like, it's really disgusting. So that's a huge issue with it as well, and it's so shitty that they're like, "This is going to ensure equity, safety, and competitive balance." Like, are you serious? Like, first of all, these are, like, high school girls or younger. Like, you're telling me that, like, a 10-year-old who's, like, in some, like, school sports league needs to go through genital inspections and genetic screening and hormone testing to verify, to make sure that it's perfectly equitable and safe for, like, are we serious? Are we serious here? Like, this is so stupid. A lot of rumors are gonna get started. Yeah, it could ruin like a young kid's, like, I don't want to say ruin their life, but like, you know how high school kids are. Like, you know how like young school kids are. They're malicious. They're like shitty. And like, if you get banned from a sports team that you're obviously trying out for, and then everyone's gonna be like, "What, are you trans?" And then they're gonna be like, "Well, I'm intersex or whatever," and it's just gonna create ridicule, and it's so ridiculous. And then someone earlier mentioned HIPAA. Dadzilla mentioned HIPAA. This is the thing about this that's really disturbing, is that, like, you have to go to your doctor to get this examination, right? Like, so at the very least, it's not going to be like a coach doing it, but it's going to be a doctor doing this kind of examination. But still, it's far beyond like what we read in here. It's far beyond what is normal for like a sports physical, right? Like, you do not have to get undressed. You don't have to be violated at all to get a sports physical. But if this passes, then yeah, you will have to do that kind of thing, and that's really disturbing. But more than that, you have to like hand over this kind of documentation to the school system. Like, so we're just trusting school systems now to have like access to incredibly personal medical information. Like, what part of this is like small government? You know what I mean? Like, because like right wingers are the ones that are advocating for this kind of legislation. Like, is this really small government? Is this really like, don't tread on me? Is this really any of that shit that they say they say they want? No, it's not. And that really goes to show that like the people on the right have absolutely no principles. Absolutely no principles at all. Like, they literally just want to, like, they work backwards from the conclusion, right? The conclusion is that they hate trans people, and so they work backwards from that to try to find ways to spite trans people, or make their lives harder, or ban them from public life, or ban them from a normal life. And it's super disturbing. Perseus, hello, welcome. A lot of rumors are going to get started, and it is it state funded? Probably not. Of course, they're cutting accessibility. Yeah, exactly. So if you can't afford to have this done, or if this isn't like, this isn't going to be provided for you. So if you're not able to have access to this kind of physical, then you're just not allowed to be on a sports team. So it's also an issue of accessibility, among many other things. Epstein funded a network of anti-trans bloggers. He wanted to keep trans people marginalized to traffic as sexual curiosities to his freaky friends. Yeah, that was unearthed in the files for sure. The system protects rapists by design. Sadly, yeah, no, unfortunately, it does. And we're seeing that very clearly. Like, very, very clearly, that, like, the Trump administration is full of people that are sexual abusers, full of people of, like, some of the worst sexual abusers. I mean, like, Trump is like the kingpin of Epstein. Like, he was like top dog in that whole thing for an incredibly long time, and he's now like the most powerful person in the country, and it's really disgusting. After all the Heritage Foundations ranting about saving girls sports, they've now come back. They've come out and admitted they want to roll back Title IX because girls aren't meant to play sport. Yeah, well, actually, Liz, we will talk about that here in a second. That is something that I'm going to get to after we talk about this. This is well, considering all the recent data shows trans women at a disadvantage to cis women athletically. Yes, if you actually look at the studies, and you look at the research, there's a lot of evidence to support the idea that, like, trans women are actually at a disadvantage athletically to cis women. Like trans women often are on anti-androgens. So, like, a lot of trans women are taking, like, Spiro or whatever, which blocks your body's ability to produce testosterone, right? Well, cis women produce testosterone. Like they do. It's just not as much as, like, you have a dominant hormone, or whatever. And so, um like, cis women have testosterone, and that helps them with their athletic ability. Trans women often have less testosterone than cis women, and on top of that, a lot of trans women have, like, heavier skeletons, and broader shoulders, and, like, other things. So, like, essentially, you're carrying around more weight without the strength that you would be getting from having testosterone in your body. The Trump admin has already demanded trans kids medical info in violation of HIPAA. Yeah, Trump is the literal ace of spades in the international sex predator community. Exactly. Humans produce both hormones. Yeah. Keg's breath trying to get testosterone for his beautiful men's in the service. Yeah, and there's that too, is really disturbing. To be frank, trans women being less able in sports is also because of intentional medical malpractice. It goes back to trans misogyny. What do you mean by that, actually? What do you mean by that? I'm curious, Perseus. Like, what specific examples do you have of medical malpractice causing trans women? Like, do you mean like, okay, so for example, what I thought of when you said that was, like, if you have zero testosterone in your body, like, that's actually not good for you. Like, that's actually probably, like, kind of bad, actually. And, like, if you're on Spiro and you have, like, literally no testosterone in your body, you should probably cut back your dose or something, or take it every other day, under the direction of your doctor, of course. But, like, you should have some testosterone in your body, otherwise, like, it's not super good for you. And I see that happening sometimes in the trans community, where, like, doctors just put you on Spiro, and it nukes your testosterone down to nothing, and it's just not. A lot of trans women are underdosed in estrogen and given way too much blockers. You talked about it specifically, and that's what I mean. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The underdosing of estrogen, I'm less familiar with. I'm way less familiar with. Like, I've heard some anecdotal stuff about that, but it's hard. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. There are some trans women online who are, like, really. ridiculous about it. Like, you're okay. You do not need like insanely high levels of estrogen to be like a trans woman and get good results and stuff. And there are definitely some people online who are who advocate for trans women to like kind of like purposefully crank up their own dose against their doctor's orders of estrogen, you know? Like I've seen stuff like that, which is not good. But there are definitely some doctors who do not understand trans healthcare, and they will like keep you in menopausal levels of estrogen, which is not safe or good. Like you definitely should be like outside the menopausal range, but you shouldn't have like skyrocketing estrogen levels because like obviously that all that does for you is increase your blood clot risk and stuff. I've read tea helps the body process potassium into muscles, among other things. Yeah, like it's like you should have some testosterone in your body, like because you know it's sounds like a good way to get a blood clot, mega dosing hormones. Yeah, exactly. Like and to be clear, like I've mostly seen this stuff on Reddit, right? And Reddit is like probably one of the most toxic trans spaces in all of the internet. Like trans Reddit is like a cesspool of people who are like trying to take like as much estrogen as possible. Like I see it in the memes too. Like there are some trans memes that I find kind of annoying because like the meme will basically say like, "Oh, you should want all of the estrogen." And it's like, "Okay, but like let's be honest here. Like that's actually not safe." But I'm not trying to take away from the fact that there are a lot of doctors who are like super bad about understanding trans healthcare, and they don't understand that you need to be outside the menopausal range for estrogen. Estrogen should be prescribed as needed while checking their levels. Yeah. Yeah, you should get your blood work done. Because like the thing about medicine is you should have exactly as much as you need and no more. Like that's how every medicine works, right? Like every single kind of medication that you're taking, you should take just as much as you need and no more than that. And the idea of like, oh, well, if you just take a bunch more for no reason, it's going to be good for you actually is kind of like a problematic mindset that some people have in the trans community. And again, I'm not trying to like that's like a whole thing, but I'm not trying to like make too big of a deal about that. Here, give me a second. Let me check a couple things. If we could hit that like button on YouTube, that would be super sick nasty. Thank you. I appreciate it. Insurance limits the amount of covered hormones. Well, yes, but like if you're like so for instance, if you're on injections, I'm on injections. I can get a vial of estradiol every month. I can get a full new vial. And that vial can last me up to 4 months. Like if you're on injections, it's actually extremely easy to decide like, "Oh, they told me to take this much, but I'm actually just gonna inject, like, more than that." And, like, your doctor will never know. Like, unless you test really high on your blood levels and they're like, "What the hell is going on here?" But in that case, like, just be honest with your doctor. And if you have a doctor that's under prescribing you hormones, like if you have a doctor that does not understand trans healthcare, you need to get a new doctor. I've seen this before too. Like I've definitely seen this before where there are trans women who get under the care of a doctor and the doctor talks about hormones as if they're poison and as if it's bad for you to be on hormones. Like there was someone who literally left a comment on one of my recent videos saying that her doctor has her off of hormones so she can purge her body of the toxins from it or something. Like what the fuck? Like this doctor that's seeing this trans woman is just like incredibly stupid. But this person was also like a right winger, right? So like she's not like advocating for her own healthcare properly. It's like ice cream. You should eat at least 10 pints every 2 hours. True. Look up the average estrogen levels of premenopausal cis women and compare it to your lab results. Exactly. Forced menopause, but worse. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we're talking about this ban or not ban. We're talking about this bill, right? This ballot measure. Um, it's really just disgusting. So we have the Supreme Court ruling, which is disappointing and stuff. Argued that the measure's requirements of a physical examination to determine gender are not only crude and archaic, but a violation of all female students athletes' rights and privacy. is currently the most extreme measure of its kind in the country in the mechanisms by which it forces all girls to have their sex assigned at birth verified by a healthcare provider. Since 2007, Washington, historically one of the most progressive states in the in in terms of LGBTQ plus rights, has allowed students to play on teams that aligned with their gender identity. However, the growing national debate over trans athlete participation has brought attention to the state's inclusive policy. Brian Hayward, a right wing hedge fund manager backing this proposal through his political action committee, recently told a local radio station that continuing to allow trans students to participate on girls' teams comes at the expense of female athletes and their safety. That is so rich. So rich. The man, the adult man, Brian Hayward, speaking on behalf of all school age girls in Washington. Like, this shit makes me so mad. Like, I get so pissed off about this. I'm not gonna lie. Like all of this anti-trans legislation, all of it comes from like cis white men who are like a part of a legislature or whatever, and they're like trying to push this shit. Like this kind of like hateful, shitty, misogynistic, harmful legislation always comes from like cis white men who are like right wingers who think they know what's best for women. Like, this is so stupid. Like, when are we gonna learn about that? That's just like dumb. Brian Hayward and Let's Go Washington have millions of dollars, mostly given by Brian himself. It's really an expensive and misinformation campaign that we're up against. We know that both this legislation and the initiative around the state's parental rights laws are beatable, but we need the resources to do that messaging. As of July, the financial scales are certainly tipping in Hayward's favor, with records showing that Let's Go Washington has raised $3.3 million to push the measure, while No Hate in Washington has raised just over $1.3 million to fight it. Sex testing is, in its nature, an extreme and unworkable concept, says Chris, a senior staff attorney at Glad Law. The sad and cynical truth is that people are funding these ballot initiatives because they want to drive Republican voter turnout for a midterm election. It's just like in 2006 when Republicans poured money into ballot initiatives to oppose marriage equality. Exactly. It's exactly what it's like. And you know what? Like, it's really sad and it's really unfortunate, but like stuff like this is probably going to be the thing that like defeats the anti-trans movement. Like, I hate to say it, like I really hate to be pessimistic like that, but like if I'm being totally honest with all of you, I'm pretty sure that like this kind of stuff that directly affects cis people is the stuff that's going to wake people up to understanding that this is like this anti-trans wave is a violation of women's rights. It's a violation of women's rights. Like like, and you know, like trans men exist too, obviously. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of this legislation targets trans women, but you know, cis people will be affected by this. And when it comes to a cis person being affected by this, that's when they're going to start caring, right? Like a lot of people don't know a trans person, they don't have a trans child or whatever, but they have a cis daughter who wants to apply for a school team, and then that school team in Washington is like, by the way, your doctor needs to confirm that your daughter has certain anatomy or whatever. And the mom's going to get super pissed off and offended, and then she's going to start looking into this stuff, and she's going to be like, "Oh my god, like, you know, they're targeting trans people, but they're actually targeting my daughter and making her feel unsafe." And you know, she wants to play in a sports team, but she doesn't want to have to go every. And the thing that makes me really mad about this too is that like you're supposed to get this inspection every single year. Like, what is the point of that? Like, are you serious? So like what? Like a cis girl gets tested and has the inspection, and then next year she has to do it again? Like, why? Are we just like you think someone's just gonna sneak it by or something? Like, I don't. It's unbelievably stupid. Like, there's literally no reason at all to have this be. Yup, still has a vagina. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so incredibly stupid. Like, this is why, like, honestly, this kind of legislation, like, I don't know, you should not be allowed to write legislation on this stuff unless you're an expert. unless you have some sort of like credibility or something. Like random cis man who has a lot of money says that this is how sports should function and how cis women should be treated in sports and stuff like that. Like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? Like, it makes no sense. Like, why are we letting people like this write legislation? Like, they have absolutely no reason to be sticking their thumb on the scales or like trying to affect this kind of shit. Like, they have absolutely no place to be doing that. Um, in addition to the measure being a violation of all girls' basic rights and bodily autonomy, opponents of the legislation are questioning its accuracy and validity. Oh, I wonder really why, huh? For starters, the initiative's official text incorrectly suggests that students in Washington state already have to undergo sex verification tests before being allowed to participate in school sports. The state's current recommended evaluation forms for school sports show no requirement of a physical exam to confirm a student's gender. The measure's text also doesn't establish who would conduct the exams, who would pay for them, when they should take place, or how the policy would be enforced across schools. Eh, this is exactly what I mean. This hateful legislation written by some random rich guy like has absolutely no like I didn't even know this. It has it does not establish who would be conducting these exams. The ballot measure like so you're telling me the coach could be the one doing it. You're telling me that the school coach could be the person and there's nothing in the legislation that wards against that. Like what like you're literally just creating the potential for sexual abuse. Like that is literally all they are doing. Like that is literally the whole point of this legislation is to like force there to be exams like God knows who and like who's going to pay for it? You're going to pay for it. And when they should take place, how it should be enforced. Oh my god, it's so stupid. Like literally just write some legislation and have absolutely no idea how to enforce it or implement it or anything. That is such a right-winger thing to do. Is just lead with hate. Like this is exactly what I mean. They are working backwards from the conclusion of we need to discriminate against trans people. And by working backwards from that conclusion, they have created a multitude of issues that will harm cis people and create the possibility for sexual abuse in Washington just so that cis girls can play on sports. Like and again, let's go back to this part here. This is kindergarten through high school. So we're not just talking about high school girls, which is already really bad. Like that's really bad. We're talking about like 12-year-olds. We're talking about like prepubescent kids going through this kind of shit. Like that's really messed up. You know, like how can anyone advocate for this legislation and act like this is somehow like actually good? Like there is no it's all bad. Like it's all bad. You know, there's not even a vestige of good. Like kindergarten plus is usually co-ed. Yeah, exactly. Like when kids are that young and they're prepubescent, there is actually basically no reason to separate them by sex, right? Like if someone has not gone through puberty, why are we separating them by sex anyway? Like that doesn't make any sense. It's a kids league. It's a freaking kids league. Like they haven't even gone through puberty. Like they don't have hormones pumping through their body. Sorry for asking this, but why do these politicians who write laws like these have not been charged with practicing medicine without a license? You know, that's actually Kitty Cat. That's a really good question. And honestly, like I do think that if you write legislation like this, and propose it, you should be like banned from office. You should like this. This is like the reddest flag of all red flags. Like, can you like? I don't know if this guy has daughters, like this guy Brian Hayward here. I'm gonna do a little Googling real quick. And I'm gonna look up this Brian Hayward guy. He's an ice hockey player. Here, sorry, let me drop this wiki article in here. Um oh wait. I think this might actually be a different person. This is a different person, I think. Let me try again. Let me try to look again. Brian Hay Oh, Haywood. Brian Haywood. Oh god, he's got a LinkedIn profile. That's disgusting. Um, Here we go. Let me sorry, 1 second.
This is
Sorry, I muted. When did I mute actually? How long was I muted? I think I accidentally hit the mute button. Anyway, this is the guy. This is the man, right? And I'm not gonna lie. He's already giving red flags. Like I already feel like I should not trust this person. He looks like he was just arrested outside a brothel. No, for sure. Not long? Okay, cool. Sorry, I was worried I got muted for a long time. These are the same people who fiercely defend their right to marry underage girls. Yeah, literally. Literally. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna play this video real quick.
an initiative that we think is very strong, that will be does a couple of things. I'll outline just quickly what it does. Number one is it repeals the current income tax. Number two, it bans future income taxes.
Oh, wait. This is about income tax. Come on, dude. Let's see. Okay, I think I found a video.
The man behind several
I think I found a video. I think I found it, chat. Don't worry.
successful
I wish you could all just link me stuff. That would be kind of awesome.
initiatives just announced 2 new initiatives today. Brian Haywood is the Renman man who got the state legislature.
Oh my god, he is screaming red flags at me. Like, he wants to mess up the law in all sorts of ways. Yeah, tax these billionaire pigs out of existence. Yeah, he's a billionaire, by the way. Every trans girl and all tall cis girls in sport are gonna have some drunk chud acting a fool at their middle game softball game. Yeah, no, for sure.
To reverse its law restricting police pursuits, to getting voters to ban the state's restrictions on natural gas. And now Haywood is back tackling 2 issues: parental rights and trans youth in sports. Haywood saying in part, quote, "Since 1972, promoting fairness in girls' sports has been a national agenda item. So it's shocking to see Chris Rakedahl and legislators in a..."
Dude, since 1972, they have not cared about... Oh my god. They have not cared about girls' sports for that.
Olympia pursue policies that would annihilate fair competition in girls' sports and deprive girls of opportunities for athletic achievement and advancement. By an overwhelming majority, Washingtonians alongside athletes, coaches, and parents believe that biological males do not belong in girls' sports. This is an issue of creating fair play for all student athletes. In response, Chris Rakedahl's office saying in part, quote, "These initiatives sound like a conflict between the interests of a millionaire initiative writer and the members of our legislature who were elected to represent Washington's needs and adopt our state laws. OSPI and Superintendent Rakedahl's job is to communicate, uphold, and enforce the law." Washington's anti-discrimination laws comply with federal civil rights and non-discrimination laws. States are permitted to provide greater protections for students than what is required by federal minimum standards and
Oh my
Washington's
God, they're
for
just
law.
saying a bunch of
In addition to
nothing.
youth sports, Haywood is once again pushing for parental rights in public schools. Back in 2024, after hundreds of thousands of Washingtonians signed Initiative 2081, the legislature adopted Haywood's measure. It cemented a number of rights for parents, including the right to get their kids' medical records in classroom instruction, as well as to opt out of certain activities like sex ed. But then last year, Democrats in the legislature rewrote Haywood's parental rights bill, saying kids have a right to privacy when it comes to medical records.
Oh my God. He has probably a CP on his hard drive. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not trying to like attack him in ways that like, like I don't know for sure or whatever, but I just like looking at him, I get a bad feeling in my gut there. That was a stupid video that added virtually nothing to my understanding. Let's see here. So I haven't met a single person who has thought this was a good initiative, added student Maria, who has been organizing against the ballot measure. And I think for good reason, because it just has no place in school sports. It breaks my heart for me to encourage young girls to play sports and become passionate about it just for more obstacles and barriers to be put in their way. It just feels so wrong. This measure is rooted in such hate. It is villainizing children. It is controlling both girls' autonomy and anatomy. Preach. Preach. Let me see here. Yeah. Let me see if I can. Oh my God, this is actually. Ugh. Ugh. All right. Here's another article to back up my talking about. So let's just be clear. The person writing this article is a cis white man, right? And I saw this and I was like, wow. Wow. This is not going to go well for them. Um It's insulting that I have to live on the same planet as these MAGA morons. No, I totally get you, Anomalous Nicole. I totally get you. Um, I hear something else when she says his name, not stream friendly though. I'm not biologically male. F off with that. No, for sure. I hate that. I hate that language. I hate it so much. Like, uh, okay. So this is directly from the Heritage Foundation, which I'm gonna have to take a shower after this stream because like this is disgusting. Okay, this is so disgusting. Title IX's failed experiment. Why accommodating sex differences beats engineered parity, dude. When you're playing when you have to do like some kind of like linguistic game of Twister to like tie yourself into knots to not say the thing that you're actually saying out loud. It's so stupid. Girl athletes already have to get a physical before competing in organized sports, and nobody's complaining about their anatomy and autonomy. Actually, so you're sort of right, but you're wrong. And that's probably because you haven't been paying attention to this entire stream. I don't know if you just got here or whatever, but there's literally a schoolgirl who was talking about this. The girl Maria, she said, she never felt violated during annual sports physicals. A forced genital exam would certainly change that. I have never had to take off any clothes. I've never felt uncomfortable or violated. I honestly do not know if I would be able to do these tests. It would also make me question if I do it, are all my teammates going to do it too? Or would I just play with the 3 or 4 girls that are willing to or have access to it to do it? So we are literally Mr. Moonglitz, judging by your profile picture and your general everything about you, you're just a cis white man. And we have literally the person who is like someone who will be affected by this legislation saying, I do not feel safe. I do not feel safe. This would make me feel unsafe. And you, a cis white man, is sitting here saying, no, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, do you not see how stupid that makes you look? Do you not understand how pathetic that is? Like, can you just listen to the people who are being affected by this, that would be affected by this legislation, and the fact that they're telling you, like, they are telling you this is not okay? And then at the bottom of the article, I have not met a single person who thought this was a good initiative. These are from the people. This is from someone living in Washington who would be affected by this legislation, literally telling you that they don't think it would work. They don't think it's a good idea. They would feel unsafe, and they don't know anyone who thinks it is a good idea. It's suspect that so many of these proposals and laws impose invasive exams on majority female segments of the population, but rarely, if ever, on the male majority segments of the population. Exactly. And that's another, like, that's a whole thing about this legislation. It literally targets women. This targets women. Well, girls, actually. This targets girls. Like, this says nothing about men. This says nothing about, like, oh, if you're a boy and you're playing in sports in school, you have to get an exam. It's literally targeted at, like, girls. She's been coached by her parents. Dude, I'm just banning you from the stream. Goodbye. You're not serious. Like, you're just not a serious person. If you think genuinely that this person has been coached by her parents, like, dude, you are just, you are words that I can't say. Like, you are so stupid. I cannot believe you are I like imagine being a cis man and thinking that you know so much better than someone who's literally going to be affected by the legislation. Like, are you serious? Like, why can't we trust what people are, like, why can't you trust what people are telling you when they tell you how it will affect them? Like, what do you, like, what? Like, how are you so much better and so much more knowledgeable and so much whatever? Like, it's so disgusting, dude. Like, I hate people like that. Like, when someone tells you that they're a part of a population that's going to be affected by something that's not going to affect you and they don't like it, and you're like, well, you're just wrong because I said so. Like, fuck you. Anime sidekick gal, hello, good to see you. Thank you for the $10. I really, really appreciate it. Why did sports get divided anyway? Men disliked losing to women. Yeah, no, literally, that's I mean, like we've talked about this on stream before, I think, but there are a lot of sports that are separated by sex or gender or whatever you want to say, and like there's no reason for it. Like, there's literally no reason for, like, chess or dart or other sports like that to, like, there's no reason to, like, for that to be a thing. None. No reason at all. Like, the only reason we would separate that stuff is because some dude is, like, insecure about potentially losing to a woman. Disgusting. Rusty says McConnell dies at 84 years. Has that officially happened? I'm not seeing anything. Just kidding. Oh, I mean, he's probably dead, but, you know. I was just wondering if there was a confirmation of it. At this point, I think this was their goal all along, give access to children to PDF men. It seems like it was rooted in Epstein. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. And like, even the people, look, like, even the people who are like, I hate to talk about it like this, but, like, if there's someone who authentically thinks that this stuff is gonna like, help fairness or something like that, if there is someone who genuinely thinks that, they have just been brainwashed. Like all of this stuff is basically like like social engineering by the Epstein class. It's basically what it is. Oh my god, Liberty Twitcher. I absolutely hate the way that you just talked about that in my chat. Can you not call trans women biological males, please? Because that's just like really insulting and stupid. It's just really stupid. A big part of the problem is the parents who don't want their daughters in high school or college competing against trans women, but most of the players don't mind. Sorry, you didn't mean it that way. Okay, just so you know, that's like a transphobic, like like what do you call it? Like oh my god, dog whistle. Jesus, I don't know why it took me so long to think of that word, but like people use that language when they're trying to discriminate. It's like you're talking about trans women or trans girls, okay? So use that language rather than calling them biological males, because that's really like it just leaves a bad taste in our mouth. Because what does that even, and thank you for being receptive to that. I appreciate that. Thank you. That I kind of like, honestly, from your message, I could not tell if you were a right winger or if you were a leftist. Like, from your initial message, I couldn't tell. So I was expecting a bad reaction. But thank you for being open to that. I really appreciate that. It's just like it's language used by transphobic people to basically misgender trans women under the guise of like, oh, we're just being honest about their anatomy, which is so stupid. Like, if you study trans healthcare, like when someone goes on HRT, I would argue that after maybe a couple years, you're no longer biologically male. And like there are like actual mechanisms within biology that prove this to be true. Because like when your sex hormones affect genetic expression. So like genetic expression is essentially like what like you have your genes, right? You have your DNA and stuff. But it's not all active at the same time. Your specific like hormones and everything going on in your body affects what genes are active, when they're active, and what kind of proteins are produced based on that kind of interaction. So when you change your sex hormones, your body's genetic expression changes and you start producing proteins that like my body is producing cells that would have been produced if I were born cis. So I am currently like my body, I've been on hormones for like 3 years. You can look up cell replacement rate for different kinds of things. That's why like skin changes happen first, right? So like that's because the replacement rate on your skin cells is very fast. So your skin cells are very like responsive to the changes in genetic expression and stuff, and other things take longer, right? But after like a few years of being on hormones, my body is composed primarily of cells that were created by the influence of estrogen on my genetic expression, thereby making me not biologically male anymore. Like I would argue that I'm actually closer to biologically being a woman than I am a male at this point. And yes, you can talk about genitals or whatever, but like if we talk about that stuff, you have to talk about intersex people. And like for instance, I don't know my chromosomes. I've never been tested chromosomally, but let's just assume I'm XY. There are women who are intersex who are XY, who have androgen insensitivity. Totally agree with you. Plumbing doesn't matter. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, but so I'm just doing a little bit of a like an info blurb or whatever there. But that's just like that's part of the reason why it's like calling someone a biological male or a biological female is like a very reductive, kind of incorrect way of framing it. Thank you, Dadzilla. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. First live stream of the month. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. We are working on getting emotes and they are coming. So probably this month we will have emotes for memberships in the chat, which will be super cool. I'm excited about that. Let me read a little bit of chat here. Frankly, I think it would be really good for young men to play and respect women. Yeah, no, I agree that like a lot of sports could be co-ed and it really wouldn't create that big of an issue, especially when kids are young. Especially pre-puberty. Like especially pre-puberty. Mitch didn't die, he just retired to his summer home in hell. That's really funny. The obvious part is going after trans girls and trans women, but I think part of it is also about misogyny and reminding cis girls and women that are not part of the cis male PP haver class. True. Very true. Bulletproof Baldy, thank you so much for following on Twitch. I appreciate that. Appreciate that greatly. At this point, I think this was their goal all along. Give access to children. Oh, I already read that. One thing that really worries me is how arrogant anti-vaxxers are as of late. How they think because of Rand Paul, um, how they demonize all modern medicine or drag us back to the dark age. Yes. I don't think like look, after COVID, that definitely spurred a lot of the hesitancy and stuff. But oh, Rusty, thank you so much for sharing 52%, 45% Syed versus Stevens right now. That's encouraging. I was waiting to check on those numbers because the longer I wait, the more accurate of a tally we're gonna get. But that's really awesome. Some people think we're saying cis people. That's really funny. Jamie, hello, welcome to the chat. Okay, for realsies, Leah in chat, what do you think of Cat Black and others' position that if we say biological to cis people, they would be more receptive to us because they take cis as an insult? Whoa! Is that? Oh no, Citron, is that actually a take from Cat Black? Is she unironically supporting the usage of biological male and biological? Is she? Oh no, dude! Please tell me that's not real. Please lie to me and tell me that that's not a real thing. Julie Bean, oh my god, thank you for getting a Twitch subscription. Thank you. That's really nice of you. I appreciate that. Okay. As I wait for chatters to but as we wait for chatters, I'm going to read a little bit of this. And I apologize in advance for having to read a little bit of this. I had all the vaccines plus a shed load going to Africa, but I just didn't like the last rush experimental one. I gave that a miss. I'm not gonna, whatever. You're allowed to make your own medical choices, but I think that, you know, vaccines are like one of the safest medical treatments we have. I'll say it that way. Like vaccines are definitely one of the safest medical technologies we have. Like if you look up surgery look up surgery regret rates. Like knee replacement, spinal fusion surgery, all that stuff. It's like the regret rates are insanely high for those surgeries. Like something like half of all people regret knee replacements. Vaccine stuff is like by comparison, the regret rates and the success of it is kind of undeniable. But I already didn't trust Cat Black when she said that trans women can't experience period symptoms on HRT, which is just misinfo, and I get my own, so it felt super invalidating to hear. Like I said, I had loads so many. No, I get you, Bulletproof. I get you. Oh, Fred. Anyone that wants a deep but accessible lesson about genes and hormones should watch this video. Julie, thank you for chatting and sharing that. I will actually give that a watch here in a second. We can pull it up on stream here in a second. I didn't know that you could share links like that in Twitch chat, which is kind of cool. Is that only for people that subscribe are able to share links? Or because like the bots always pop in and they just they break it up or whatever. It was on her second channel. I think so. I'm on the spectrum, so it could be undetected sarcasm from her on my part. I don't know. I don't think Cat Black, as far as I'm aware, doesn't really make a lot of sarcastic kind of content here. I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna look it up. You said it was on her second channel. Is that what you said? What is the name of her second channel? I don't even know. Like, I know her main channel is Cat Black, right? Like, what's the name of her second channel? Probably because I subscribed. Okay, thank you again for that, by the way. I appreciate that. Oh, okay, but before we get to the cat black stuff, I actually think that would be Black in the City. I think that would actually be a good thing to talk about. Oh God, I don't know how I'm gonna find. I don't know how I'm gonna find out about. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see anything that like looks. Okay, I don't know. I don't really see a video about it. Links are dependent on your settings for chat. Bots send links all the time. The links that I see, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so here we go. Title IX's failed experiment. This is from the Heritage Foundation. This is so stupid, but we're gonna have to just check this out because it's important. Title IX has again. Keep in mind that this is from the Heritage Foundation. Okay, this is gonna be really bad. Title IX has evolved from a seemingly modest anti-discrimination statute into a powerful engine of feminist social engine. Oh, I already can't with this. Complete with proportionality mandates. The result has been two systemic distortions that rest on a false premise that differences in competitiveness and interest between the sexes are stereotypes to be engineered away through state action and cultural revolution. Equality under Title IX does not require identical outcomes or the erasure of sex differences. It requires opportunity rooted in human nature that will reveal genuine differences between the sexes, recovering an approach that accommodates the partly natural, partly cultural differences between the sexes can sustain vibrant women's sports, protect and perhaps expand male opportunities, contribute to healthier. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Gross. So let's see here. Articulated by Simone. Oh my God. Okay. Where's the part? Oh my God, this is so much. I don't want to read all of this. Where's the part that basically says that they want to ban sports? Should cheerleading, exercise clubs, or competitive dance count as athletic participation? No. Some activities in sports just reinforce stereotypes of women as non-competitive and less interested in sports than men are. Only competitive varsity sports count. Oh my God, dude. That's so stupid. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so much. Holy shit. Oh, no. Y'all, I don't want to read all this. This is like, this is so messed up. Oh my God. Accommodating nature toward the current Title IX regime has applied to sports as part of a sustained social engineering effort that is designed to produce a new sort of woman, one that is more aggressive, more competitive, more male, less. Dude, I can't with these people. He's trying to act like you're making women more male. Isn't that like against all of your transphobia? Like what the fuck? Okay. Less oriented towards the goods of family and motherhood. This project is deeply controversial, especially when viewed through the lens of history. Few societies, even today, have policies with the ambition and coercion of America's Title IX enforcement regime. European countries, partly because their sports systems are detached from education, promote women's sports more than they once did, but not at all as the United States does now. Societies of the past, perhaps unconsciously, put their collective thumbs on the scale. That blah, 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 blah. Blah. History and nature denying extremism of today's Title IX enforcement compel us to consider basic questions. What goods do women themselves get from sports and physical activity? What goods do men get? What goods does society derive from women's participation, from male participation, podium scholarships, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Podium scholarships or the cultivation of a conquering spirit are hardly the main concerns for most female athletes. Much less of a concern is having a career in sport. Dude, like this man, cis white man, just sitting here talking about fucking women as if he understands womanhood like perfectly is just so disgusting. Well, anyway. Okay. Here we go. Uh, Differences in interest should no longer be considered reflections of benign stereotype of gender when difference in interest. Requirements that schools provide resources and MT Ross supposed to have done their job. Jesus Christ. Uh okay, so I didn't want to read all that. You know what? Here, let me just let me just read a little bit of this summary here. Following the Supreme Court's recent decision in West Virginia, the Supreme Court ruling, which ruled that states can exclude trans people from school sports without violating Title IX, Scott Yanor, a senior fellow of the Heritage Foundation, is calling for Title IX to be rewritten to remove requirements for equality between men and women's sports programming at universities. Um, yeah. Maybe I can find a better article here. Okay, it looks like I got like a little Substack article. Um, Last week, the Heritage Foundation, right-wing think tank behind Project 2025, published a report titled, we already read that. Uh, oh, its author, Heritage Foundation Senior Research Fellow, Boise State University political science professor. Ew, political science professor, gross. Chooses to introduce the topic in a familiar way, transphobia. Here he opens with a nod to the right-wing conspiracy theories surrounding Aman Khalif, writing that in 2024, Tunisian. Oh God, that's really disgusting. Like they still think that she's trans. Like, come on. He gets the facts wrong. Amani Khalif is Algerian. She isn't transgender, but regardless, he presses on and uses Khalif to call for laws. Blah 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 blah. A springboard for his true target, women's sports, and more specifically, the deeper feminist settlement that has governed athletics for decades. This feminism, he writes, aimed to make women more independent and even dominant and less deferential and less oriented towards motherhood and traditional female graces. And as a result, Title IX evolved from a seemingly modest anti-discrimination statute into a powerful engine of feminist social engineering, complete with proportionality mandates. Title IX has created a prejudice in favor of male normed competitive model for women's sports and a prejudice against males non-revenue programs. And these prejudices rest on the false premise that differences in competitive interests blah 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 blah. Oh, this stuff is like really uninteresting to read. But essentially they're trying to get rid of Title IX because they hate women's sports. Too long didn't read. They hate women's sports. So that's what's going on with that. They yeah. I love biological determinism, JK. Yeah, no for sure. Um if you type this in a search bar, it'll bring up stop falling for this blackness. Okay. Stop falling for this. Okay, I found it. 4 months ago, you said? All right, that was really loud. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Here we go. We're going to watch. This is 10 minutes. I do not know if I'm going to watch the whole thing, but we will talk about that. I found her videos are very nondescript on the channel. Yeah, no, for sure. Like scrolling through her second channel, there was no way that I was gonna find this video. The entire Republican show was try to gin up some old anger and take attention away from the fact that assholes are exploding and eggs have a salmonella outbreak. Oh, speaking of outbreaks, measles. Yeah, measles too. The measles outbreak is kind of dystopian. Anyway, we're gonna watch this.
A lot of discourse right now about cis women who don't want to be called cis women. And if you watch me, you know that sometimes I will say biological woman. And just to be clear, I usually say that because a lot of times I'm trying to make content to specifically reach people. And I know that a lot of people, they hear the wrong language and they turn the video off and they move on. And so I try to, when I have some of these conversations, respect that a lot of cis women who identify themselves as biological women don't like that word, right? However,
Okay, already, look, if you're trying to make, okay, if you're trying to make content online to convince transphobic people to not be transphobic, you are doing the most Sisyphusian thing that could ever have been done. Like, you are trying to push the boulder up the mountain, and it is literally just going to roll back down the mountain. Like, this kind, like, look, I believe in educating people. I believe in, like, trying to bring people into a correct understanding, all that stuff. I am, like, huge on that. Like, I'm sure for people that watch my channel, like, that is something people are aware of that I advocate for. But that stuff needs to happen in real life. Like, genuinely. Like, yes, you can have resources online. Yes, you can have videos where you talk about this kind of stuff and you try to inform people, but you're not going to change anyone's mind online. Like, if you're talking to someone online, you just have to assume that it's just not going to work. Like, you're like, when have you ever changed anyone's mind online? Like, I'm sorry, but like, like, unless someone is already predisposed to be agreeable to you, they're not going to be agreeable to you. And so you like this kind of education and information campaign stuff really is only useful in real life. Okay? So like, I'm already like a little, like, the whole premise of it, of her trying to reach an audience. I don't know about that.
one of the things that is a little funny to me about it is cis as a term, in the way that we are using it, is literally only being used to describe people who identify with the gender that they are assigned at birth. In other words, it's a term that you would really only ever hear in the context of a person making a distinction between someone who is transgender and someone who isn't transgender. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that a lot of the times when I hear people use the term outside of these contexts,
Wait, what? When are people using the term cis outside the context of, by using the term cis, it's already, the context is already, hold on.
I mean, maybe this is because I live in Los Angeles. Sometimes they're trying to be low key, wokely, gender essentialist. I'll just be frank, right? But at the end of the day, if you're looking for a term that is neutral, because it is neutral, that describes people who are not transgender, cis is that term. But let's talk about why a lot of biological women specifically don't like the term. I know that.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, dude. Okay, I'm trying. I'm really, like, I promise you, I'm not trying to drama farm. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm genuinely, like, I want to understand her position, and I want to be charitable towards her. Okay, like, I'm not trying to, like, ooh, I want to, like, whatever. But the framing of this whole thing, like, I don't really understand like her whole explanation leading up to this point was that cis is the correct word to use, but sometimes in LA people use cis outside of the context of like I don't even I don't even understand the framing. Like I don't understand the framing that she's putting on this so far. It doesn't like so far I don't understand where she's coming from. Like it doesn't really make any sense.
Primarily, one of the main reasons people don't like the term cis woman is because it sounds like cyst, right? But at its core, the main reason is because biological women don't want to entertain the premise that someone like myself is a woman, right? And a lot of biological women have this mentality where they think that trans women are simply trying to be them. They are sitting around heartbroken over the fact that they are not them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to say that there aren't trans people who have felt like that. I'm not going to even say that there may have been a very brief period of time in my life where maybe I felt a little bit like that. But at 35 years old, as somebody who transitioned as a teenager, it is a little aggravating the way that people often, they really want to act as if we have completely separate, completely, distinct, there is no crossover experiences, because frankly, I know that in my life, at least, most of the experiences I have with people, especially people who don't know who I am, they're treating me the way they treat women, period. They're not stopping to measure.
What? I'm so sorry, but I don't understand where she like what is she talking about? I Oh my god. Every trans woman is a biological woman because biological just means alive. People who don't like being called cis needs to suck it up and get over it and are probably not the type of people that are going to be won over unless someone as close to them is trans. Moon Cascade, you just put it all into words for me. Thank you. Like, yeah, like I'm a biological woman because I'm a biological human being. My body runs on estrogen. There's like all of this stuff that I could give, and I don't even have to justify it. Like, and like we already have a term for cis and trans. Like we already have terms for this. So what is the why do we need to kowtow to their framing? Like this is like something that happens all the time where liberals will kowtow to Republican framing, like with like immigration or whatever. Like, oh, like yeah, like maybe we should do something about these immigrants and like calling them illegal immigrants and like kowtowing to the framing that like, oh, some of these people are dangerous and oh, maybe there does need to no. Why are we doing that? Why are we kowtowing to their framing? Why is she doing that? I don't like she still has not made a clear case to me to understand why the fuck she's doing any of this.
Whether or not I'm trans or not, they're looking at me, seeing me as a woman, and treating me accordingly. And over time, that is very obviously going to develop not just your own personal culture, but experiences, right? And it sort of makes me angry sometimes when we have conversations about experiences that both trans women and cis women have. And sometimes I'll have cis women who will come into the conversation and say, well, you don't deal with that because you're not a biological woman. And trans women, I want to be very clear. We may have conversations about how trans women should be able to participate in sports, right? But we know that trans women have different biology than cis women. And one of the only reasons why people
oh my god, dude. Like, cis people have different biology than cis people. What? Cis people have different biology than cis people. Biology is incredibly diverse. Like what? Why is she acting like? My god, dude. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to be charitable.
Grant people, in some cases, less and less these days, the ability to compete against women in sports is because most of our physical ability comes from our endocrine system, right? Most of our ability to do physical tasks comes from our endocrine system. And most people won't even really realize that until they have like an actual hormone issue that they have to address that isn't them being transgender, right? So the idea is, if you're a person who's designated male at birth and you've been on hormones which shift you into a level that is comparable, oftentimes even more suppressed in terms of the estrogen than a cis woman, then you have the same functional physical ability, right? Now there's lots of debate within that, but the only reason why we do that is because of that, right? Even within that conversation, it's useful to make a differentiation between cis women and trans women. But I know that the main reason people reject it is purely because they don't want to acknowledge that trans women are women. And I think for me, one of the things that is a little alienating about this is, like, I'm a person who's never had plastic surgery. I'm not a person who, tries hard to look. This is the thing, a lot of times people will talk about trans people as if they're always living in the shadow of cis people, right?
I don't. What the fuck is she even trying to say? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, but like, what point is she trying to make here? Like, what? There are, like, I don't know why she's talking about the hormone stuff as if there aren't, like, there's studies about this stuff. There are studies about it. Like, it's not a debate. Like, I mean, yeah, there's like a debate in the public sphere, but it's one side is anti-fact and the other is backed up by. What is she saying? Is anyone getting a clear message from this? Like, I do not understand what the hell she's talking about.
Right? I'm not someone who tries to look like a woman, right? That's kind of the thing that they always say. This is just how I look. This is just what my face looks like. This is just what my body looks like, and it's one of those things where, regardless of how I personally have ever felt about my gender, I've been put into those categories. That's another layer of it that kind of makes me frustrated, because my experience with this is that people often think less of me because they see me as a woman, right? And so for me, I see us fighting against these things, the gender binary, etc., as something that just helps women, period, right? And I think a lot of people do not understand that one of the main reasons why they're focusing on sports.
It sounds like she's arguing against her initial position. It sounds like she's like calling people biologically female or biologically male is reductive. It's reductive. Like if you're advocating for fighting against the binary, then you would be advocating for the broadening of the definitions to include intersex and trans and cis people all under one umbrella, with the understanding that sex is like a very complicated spectrum of things. I don't understand what she's talking about. It's just like normal gay justification for me. I think she is saying cis people think we're always talking to them from a place of jealousy, which most of us are not. Some of us are, and it's valid, but they project that onto all of us. Well, look, I do see the jealousy thing a lot in the trans community. I'm not going to try to argue that I haven't seen trans people be like say like, oh, I wish, like I've seen a lot of trans people say, oh, I wish I was born cis or whatever. And like, I get it. Like, I get where the feeling for that comes from. Like, but like, how does using their transphobic terminology, like, she's just like, how does kowtowing to their framing make this better? I don't, like, she has not provided any, like, honestly, like this whole video just kind of seems like she's just rambling. Okay? Like, it kind of just seems like she's just rambling about shit. Like, she's just saying shit. No, like, this does not come across as something that's like a well thought out position on something. Like, I don't even understand her reasoning. If we cared about biological advantages, Michael Phelps would never be competed in sports, would have divided into weight or skill class. All the BS spewed is from people who have never played on a team. My mountain bike team in high school wasn't split by sex, and nobody thought anything of that, despite it requiring a ton of strength and stamina to be good at. So all the panic around sex in sports feels incredibly manufactured. And basketball and football at recess for me wasn't split between boys and girls, and nobody thought anything of it. Exactly, exactly. Like, sports is inherently unfair, okay? Like, there are going to be people who are born tall. There's going to be people who are born with the ability to build more muscle. There are going to be people who are like, there are so many different ways that you can try to control the quote unquote fairness of sports. But if you do that, you're going to create an insanely complicated system of checks and balances that you're going to destroy the whole thing in the process. Like, if okay, we need to control for sex. Okay, well then we also need to control for height and weight for everything, and we also need to control for hormone levels, and we need to control for this and this and this and this and this. And if you keep doing all of that, like, you're gonna have to create 7,000 teams and all these different leagues and all of these different things. And like, where necessary, they already do this shit. Like with wrestling, obviously weight class in wrestling is kind of important, right? Like, that's one thing that's already a mechanism included within a sport regulation system where they do weight classes, because yeah, like if you're wrestling someone who's twice your weight, it's going to be incredibly hard for you to have the physical strength to fight against the leverage that they have of just their weight. And so, like, the sex distinction is, like, almost meaningless in that. Okay.
Is because they want to legally define men as stronger than women. We have to keep in mind that women have not always been allowed to participate in sports. There used to be this idea that if you let women play sports, they will become men. And now you have all of these very successful female athletes, many of whom don't date men, don't have an interest in men, don't want to include men. They're able to gain wealth, have their own.
Did he win, Abdul Al-Sayed? It looks like he is ahead right now. I don't think it's been called. Like, I don't think the hold on. Oh, I accidentally got rid of my Michigan. Let me look up live results. So it looks like he's at 51.1%, and she's at 45.3%, and 28% of the votes have been counted. So he is ahead, right? But it is way too early. Oh, well, has this been updated? It says it was posted at 9 in the morning. Is this actually being updated? Oh, here we go. Updated on the 4th at 10:12. Yeah, so this was updated just a minute ago. So we're not gonna know really until tomorrow. You're Egyptian like him. He won't win. GG's. She went 20% the last day. I don't know about that. I think he has a strong chance of winning. I don't think it's guaranteed, but I don't think it's like Israeli votes. I checked the stats. You kind of sound like you're schizo posting a little bit, my friend. Like, you check you have the secret. I don't know. No, I mean, it's rigged. Okay, can you share a source talking about how it's rigged? Can you like share something about that like backs up what you're saying? Steven evades questions and has the kind of evil aura that I think people see it. Yeah, look, if you watch, like, a lot of people that watched the debate left having a bad taste in their mouths about Haley Stevens. They are wild and in the Twitch chat, yeah. Um, I think she means starting off with it to eventually convince them that cis isn't a bad word. I've yet to encounter a cis person who was offended by it in IRL though. Yeah, and that's what I mean is that like I feel like this is like kind of like a terminally online take where like, look, if you want to fight transphobia and if you want to educate people and inform people to try to get them on our side on the side of trans rights, then you should be talking to people in real life. Like if Cat Black really wanted to do something about this and wanted to convince people that I actually don't even really know what her position is, to be honest. But like if she wanted to bring people onto her side of things, making content aimed at kowtowing to transphobic framing in order to get people over to trans rights is just like I'm sorry, it's just not gonna work. Like I am huge on advocating for education, but like this is not like I've definitely made it clear that this is not something that like can be uh done online. Have I ever advocated for people online to try to educate people? Not really. I always talk to people about going out and organizing in real life and stuff. Like talking to people in real life and stuff. That's like I always frame it that way on purpose. All Cat does is damage the rest of our reputations when we don't do it. Yeah, exactly. But by saying that we should be using terms like biological male or female, you're just again kowtowing to the right-wing framing, and then when a trans person says like actually like that's kind of transphobic and we should just be using cis and trans because those words are incredibly accurate for the situation that we're talking about, whereas those other words aren't, and they're transphobic. And like then like it's just going to give them a pick me where it's like, oh no, actually like Cat Black said that we should be doing it, you know? Like no. Like you're just giving them ammunition against the rest of the community because you think you're like this high-minded person who's going to somehow win them over. But my girl, like you're not going to
freedom of movement, and they're able to exist in a way where they truly do not want men at all involved in their life. And that is a very destabilizing thing towards capitalism, right? Capitalism that kind of really needs.
Dude, I can't watch the rest of this. I'm sorry. She's just saying shit. Like this is literally the definition of just saying shit. Like this header up here, cis versus trans, a billionaire's distraction. Like, yeah, they're using us as a political football and a political wedge issue. But I don't think that anything she has said in any of this video has given a solution to that. Like, her solution is that we defeat the division by kowtowing to right-wing framing? By using transphobic language, we can defeat the billionaire distraction, apparently. Like, I'm sorry, but this whole video is just saying shit. Like,
needs these sort of ideas of man and woman to sort of share this idea that this is usually instilled through religion, are a person of value if you play these specific, unique roles. Men are meant to be, workers. Women.
I can't watch this. I can't watch the rest of this. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Like I genuinely just like rambling. She's just saying shit and none of it means anything. Here's what I was looking at for polling stuff, by the way. So, Abdul's got a pretty solid lead right now. Again, with how early it is, like I find it hard to believe that this is like something we can bet on. There's so few votes counted, right? But he's definitely ahead. I like most of her other stuff, but I can't take her serious on that trans topic. Yeah, like I've watched Cat Black before, and like sometimes, like I watch not all the time, but sometimes like on Instagram or something, it'll show me some of her videos, and I'll watch them, and like they're not bad. Like I've there have been some takes that she's given where I'm like, yeah, like I don't disagree with her on every issue, but with that one specifically, I don't know what the fuck she was on with that. Like, I genuinely, as a content creator, what it kind of sounds like is she had the idea of like, oh, we're gonna talk about how billionaires are dividing us based on, you know, id poll like culture war issues. And then like she just started talking. I thought this race is supposed to be at least 10-point difference. Well, we don't know yet. Like, you know, like again, if we look at the stuff, only 29% of the votes have been counted. So we have no idea what the margins are going to look like by the end of it. And that's honestly one of the things about following elections that kind of sucks is that, like, yeah, we could sit here and stare at all the numbers and like all the, we could try to like stare at this and, oh, another 1% of the votes came in. Oh, what's going on? But like, genuinely speaking, like, you cannot infer anything from that. You can't infer anything from that. Like, until we get to like 80-90% of the votes cast, until you get the majority of the votes cast, that you really like, there's really nothing to say about it. There's really nothing to say about it. Like, once you know, like, okay, if you're at 95% of the votes counted and someone is up by a huge margin and you're sure, like, you know how many votes are left to count, and it's like, okay, even if all of these votes went to the other person, they still wouldn't win. That's when they call the race, right? Like, you can see that with the governor primary, right? So the governor primary, there was Jocelyn versus Chris, right? And so Chris obviously only has 16% of the vote, and again, only 28% of the votes have been counted, but there's just no way. Like he would have to win like every single vote after this point. So like there's no way that the guy's going to win. And yeah, this seems like it's coming in kind of slowly. So like we're, you know, like you're going to have to just check back tomorrow to see who won. Unfortunately. But yeah. Gosh. Okay, so one thing I did want to do after watching that brain melting video, I wanted to do something with you all, and I wanted to watch some More Perfect Union. I don't know how many of you in my chat like watch More Perfect Union or have heard of that channel. Probably a lot of you, right? But yeah, if she starts talking about used biological male, I will just think even worse about people that believe in such language. Yeah, exactly. The left does better at the end of election day. Yeah, true. Hey Natalie, welcome to the chat. You're flying in 7 hours? Well, I hope your flight goes well. The right has done a bang-up job. Even flip-flop voters see the predicament we are in. Change needs to happen, but not in a regressive way. Yeah, and there's a reason why, like, every recent election, the change candidate is the one who wins, right? And I think that's why Abdul Al-Sayed actually has a chance to win, is because I'm pretty sure most people view Abdul as the change candidate, right? Like, they view Stevens as kind of the establishment Dem. And I think that honestly that works against her. Not to, like, also to say, like, I've loosely paid attention to the campaign, and Haley Stevens has run a horrible campaign. She has not proposed a single fucking thing. Like, she literally like is not doing anything. There has to be enough votes counted that if 100% of those remaining were for another candidate, they still wouldn't win. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They'll agree with her and vote against us. Yeah. Occasionally, we do encounter the terminally online IRL, though. These days, more than days past. Yeah, that does happen. There are people online, terminally online, who do show up in real life. That is true. But I'm just saying that, like, what the point I was trying to make earlier is that, like, if you want to make a difference in educating people and informing people and bringing people over to the side of trans rights, you are way better off setting up like an informational booth or something and like talking to people in real life and like going on like a campaign in real life to educate people. Like that is going to make a world of difference compared to online discourse. There has to be enough. Oh, I already read that. Okay, so we're going to watch this video. Here, let me mute real quick so I can pull it up. Okay. So here it is. So this video is Can Abdul Al Sayed win over Trump voters? We put him to the test. I sort of feel like the framing of this is actually kind of dumb just right off the rip. Because I like I don't think he's appealing to Trump voters, but I do think that More Perfect Union is the thing that it's good for is getting people like like you get to hear from real people, right? So that's good. Haley Stevens only cares about that sweet APAC money. True.
Abolish ICE. I have a hard time with that.
I know that Medicare for all would be very difficult. Why is now the time?
Does he support the continued existence of Jews in Israel-Palestine?
All eyes are on Michigan, where Abdul Al-Sayed is on the verge of a massive upset in the Senate Democratic primary, campaigning on issues that were previously deemed too radical.
I'm running on 3 things: money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all.
The argument against him is, as usual, about electability.
The electability issue, that is really the central question here.
The establishment pick is Haley Stevens, who's backed by over $30 million from AIPAC.
No one wants Abdul to win more than the Republicans.
Oh my god! Every time I hear Haley Stevens talk, I just want to like slam my head into a wall.
They think that they can beat him in November.
But in an era where an increasing number of Americans feel politically homeless, what does electability actually mean?
I have a lot of concerns with the Democratic Party.
I feel scared to call myself a Democrat.
I no longer consider myself either a Republican or a Democrat.
And can a progressive agenda really win in a purple state like Michigan?
What's my coalition? It's people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
We gathered voters with diverse political views to put Al-Sayed's message to the test.
Have you seen the movie Itchy the Killer? Every time I hear Haley Stevens talk, I want to stick those giant needles in my ear. Like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. She's low-key a Bob's Burger character. That is actually one of the most accurate things. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's oh, I holy shit. Oh, the wildfire smoke here is so bad. I'm wearing an N95 mask in my apartment. Oh, health. Oh no, are you out? You're out there with the wildfires? I've been hearing about that, and it sounds devastating, honestly. Like, it's kind of shocking that we're not hearing any news coverage about that stuff, but I'm really sorry to hear that. I've been seeing that it's getting kind of out of control.
I come from a 4th generation.
Oh, hey, can you guys hit the like button, please? Pretty please? Pretty please with sugar and stuff on top and stuff? I would appreciate it.
An auto worker family. A lot of what we hear from Democrats is like a lot of lip service, when in actuality they don't really follow through on anything that they really say.
I am a service disabled veteran. I would previously describe myself politically as more Republican leaning.
I have voted Republican in the past. I feel like the mainstream media is very biased, and I do respect a lot of the independent journalists, including Tucker Carlson.
My political views have evolved over time.
That's disgusting. It's funny because like Tucker Carlson would hate her. Like Tucker Carlson would be like discriminatory against that lady.
Donald Trump did visit Dearborn, and he said that we will try his best to end wars in the Middle East. We accepted his, pledge.
Have you ever voted for a Republican?
Yes, many times. More often than Democrat.
Hey everybody, how are you? So good to see you guys. Alexis, nice to meet you.
So the thing that I'm interested about this is like Abdul Al-Sayed, he's obviously going to talk to some Trump supporters, or he's going to talk to these people, right? So I'm interested to see how he engages with these people.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be out here. Yeah, really appreciate you.
Let's begin with Medicare for All, because that is one of the most important issues in this race.
I went to medical school, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about this system. Wrote a whole book on it. And ultimately realized that the biggest challenge is not making the math work. The biggest challenge is not architecting the system. The biggest challenge is...
Leah, can you play it at 1.5 times, please? No.
Creating the political will to get there. I want you to
like
imagine...
genuinely, okay, if you watch all of your YouTube videos at 1.5 times speed, I'm not gonna shit on you a whole bunch or anything, but I do think that like that is like a brain virus where you feel like you need to maximize your efficiency at all. Like that is capitalism brain rot at its finest. Like you do not need to maximize the amount of time. Like you don't need to be like this maximally efficient person. Like I like listening to people in their natural cadence. I like listening to people how they naturally talk. Like I'm sure when people watch my videos, they speed them up because I'm long-winded and my videos are often long, and I get it. But like I don't do that when I watch YouTube. I watch everything at one time speed because I'm not trying to like hyper maximize the efficiency. You watch at 2x personally, that's your prerogative, but genuinely I don't think that that's like I don't do that. And I don't want to do that. Because I'm not trying to like get through things as fast as possible. That's not my primary goal with consuming content, is to like cram as much of it down my throat as possible.
That next to your insurance card, you had another card. And that card was your Medicare card. It came to you the day you were born. And it didn't matter if you turned 26, or get married, or get divorced, or get a job, or lose a job, that you could get healthcare with it. That's what Medicare for All is.
My uncle, he had a precarious healthcare situation, and he put off getting treatment for a while, and he ended up passing away from stomach cancer. I just think that really goes to show how far gone the system stands as it is right now.
Most people just put off having to do anything because the financial burden of actually getting the healthcare you need is more anxiety-provoking than the possibility of being very sick. Now, the current system that we live under allows all of the corporations who make money off of our healthcare system to spend money to elect people who will then turn around and protect the industry. And they've, in effect, manufactured a bipartisan...
Ooh, someone said, anyone seen any good movies recently? I just watched the new Avatar movie the other night. And I actually, like, I liked it. Like, I thought it was pretty good. Thought it was pretty good.
Consensus that tells us we can't have guaranteed health care through Medicare for All. This is the question I always get. But doctor, how are you going to pay for it? Just remember, we already pay for it. Every single dollar that goes to the back pocket of an insurance CEO, every single dollar that goes to a pharmaceutical company, every single dollar comes from where? One of our pockets. Every single one. And because you don't have to worry...
He's killing it. Honestly, like, I will be honest, I have not listened to him talk, like, a whole lot. Like I genuinely have not heard Abdul speak a ton. Like, I watched some of the debate, and I've seen, like sporadic little clips or whatever. But, like, I don't, like... You know, I don't always pay like hyper close attention to these races or whatever. And genuinely, the way that he's talking about this issue is really good. Like I really like that because like, the thing that, you know, that is the thing that a lot of people go to straight off the bat is like, who's gonna pay for it? Oh, I'm gonna pay for it. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, you're already paying for it. We pay more than any other country to have the shittiest insurance, like to have the shittiest healthcare. Like we pay more to be in debt than we would pay to not have medical bills. My friend does 3.x times, and I don't even know how he comprehends it at that point. Also, same. I think I like it because of ADHD, autism. No, look, I am ADHD. I am autistic and ADHD also. Okay, and this is going to be a little bit of a hot take. The internet has fucking destroyed people's brains. And if you need to watch media on, like, do you watch your movies on 2x speed? Do you watch like your TV shows at 2x speed? Like, come on, let's be honest here. Like, it's an issue of your attention, your ability to pay attention to things. And like if you, I don't know. I just think I think it's a little silly. Not all of us who watch at faster speeds are trying to grind through as much content as possible. For me personally, faster speech is more digestible for my ADHD brain. Okay. If you say so. I mean, you know yourself better than me. I'm not gonna like tell you you're wrong or whatever. But I think that for a lot of people, it signals this kind of impatience to me where it's like, can you hurry up and say whatever the fuck you're trying to say? Because like I need you to like get through this. Like that's how it comes across to me. Is that like someone like, you know, is just kind of like doesn't want to have the attention span or patience to like hear someone speak about things in a natural way. And so they're like, I need you to get through this. You know, that's how it comes across to me.
About that health insurance CEO's exorbitant salary. Now all of a sudden the overhead off that system goes down. That's the vision of Medicare for All. We could have it if we actually.
Yes, all movies, TV, and media is at 1.5x if possible. That is just my personal preference, and I don't expect that from everybody else. Okay.
We're willing to fight for it.
My name is Lena Saad. I'm a clinical pharmacist. There's one patient that was not able to afford her oral therapy at the time, and we relied on giving her samples that we would get from drug companies, and I would literally take it and drive it to her on my way home. So how can we incorporate the pharmaceutical aspect into Medicare for All as well?
So one of the most important things we could do is negotiate prescription drug prices. Medicare becomes the buyer of all prescription drugs on behalf of all of us. And so it can use its power purchasing on behalf of the 350 million people in this country to start bringing those rates down. Here's the other crazy thing about pharma. Almost every pharmaceutical that has come to market in the last decade has had its roots in NIH-funded research. You know who paid for that? We did.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this guy, like, brilliant. Honestly, brilliant. I think that this is, like, really good responses. Like, honestly, one of the things that I find most refreshing about, like, leftist candidates is the fact that they respond to questions with actual answers. Like, you ask an establishment Democrat about these issues, and they're just gonna waffle. They're just gonna waffle. They're just gonna say shit. They're just gonna go blah, 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 blah. And they're not gonna answer your question. They're not gonna satisfy any of that shit. Like, one of the most sad, like, I think honestly, one of the reasons why the left is doing so well and why like these DSA candidates and these progressive candidates are doing so well is because of the simple fact that when someone comes to you and asks a question like, hey, you're advocating for this policy, but like, you know, how are we going to do this? How are we going to pay for it? How does this make sense? The like left wingers and progressives will answer the fucking question for you. But yeah. With the 1.5x, 2x, and more, it makes me wonder if these politicians are listening to these bills at that speed while doing everyday tasks. Maybe. It seems like a lot of people do it. For me, 1.5x can become too much for fiction, especially those scenes where they show hidden baddie as the scene fades out really quickly. I will do it on a second pass if I really absorbed it the first time and want information, remembered body language and inflection, but I understand it takes more time. Can help. Anyway, we don't have to go on about the watching everything quickly thing.
Then some private company comes and buys the rights to this thing. Then they get to sell it back to the taxpayer at a ridiculous rate. I mean, that's insane to me.
My mom's from Canada originally, and it seems like the motive there is to keep the people healthy.
So what we really want is prevention. I'll be honest with you, I actually agree with Maha on a lot of things. Most people are like, wait, what? They're right about a lot of the problems. The solutions are batshit crazy, but they're right about a lot of the problems. I think we need to stop selling huge amounts of ultra-processed foods in ways that have us subsidizing them via a whole bunch of programs, when what we really want is people to be eating healthy foods in the first place, right? Like in our current system, let's be clear, a lot of people make a lot of money off of people getting sick.
I've been working for Ford Motor Company for 31 years now. I've had it nice being a UAW member that I've had health insurance my entire career. I find myself as a parent of a child with autism. I'm coming towards the end of my career. So that's one of my biggest fears, where the care will be in place for him. I typically hold more libertarian views on something like this. So would we be doing like a single payer?
Oh my God, dude. I like how he had to be coy about it. He had to be like, I'm like kind of a libertarian. Like, you don't even know what that means. This guy does not even know what that means.
System, it would be single payer. And what I want is that the government basically guarantees your health insurance. And that allows...
Yeah, I mean, Maha is a joke, right? But like you do have to contend with the fact that like when Trump was running for office, he was talking about real issues. It's just that his like specific solutions are fucking insane. And same thing with RFK. Like, yeah, processed food is an issue. Like, there's a lot of chemicals that are banned in Europe that are not banned in America. Like, there are all sorts of issues with like our fast food and like lots of stuff. There's a lot of issues, right? But the Maha solutions are dog shit. Like, they're insane. They're ableist and not good solutions. And so like I think that like, you know, it's okay to admit that like, yeah, you know, like there are some things, because that's part of what draws people in to like something like Maha or something like the Trump admin, is they see them point out problems that are real problems, and then a lot of people tend to think like, oh my God, like you know, if they're able to recognize the problems, clearly they have good solutions, right? And they don't understand that that does not directly follow from that. Like, you have to verify like, okay, they do understand the problem, but they also have a good solution. I've dealt with medical issues related to acid reflux, but when I got a cancer diagnosis and chose radiation treatment, the medication alone was $28,000. I was fortunate enough to have good coverage. Someone with less luck faces a death sentence. That's morally wrong, in my opinion. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that everyone deserves to have care. I do see your point though, Leah. I think for some it can be a hurry up, I'm busy kind of way. For me, I feel like it's kind of akin to how I read fast and write slowly. I don't know why it feels connected somehow. Okay, I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. Like when I edit my videos, I edit them at 2x speed. But I'm not editing them to like take in the context, you know, like I'm the one who talked about this stuff. Like I'm editing it at 2x speed because I am trying to get through it as quickly as possible. Like, I'm not trying to absorb what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to absorb the inflection and the way that I'm talking about it and whatever. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to get through it as super fast as possible.
Allows the healthcare providers to go out and say, look, if I can provide a better service, then I should win more patients. But it shouldn't be that your health insurance says, no, here's who's in network and here's who's out of network. So you're gonna go here and you're gonna like it. And I think there's a couple of pieces that we need to institutionalize. Number one, the governance of this system can't just change on a dime because you have a new president, right? And so the governance would have to live somewhere similar to the kind that we offer in the Fed, right? So the governance would have to sit under but separate from the executive branch in a certain way. We're the richest, most powerful country in the history of the world. And, you know, we fight wars for no reason. But whenever we talk about providing healthcare, everyone's like, well, I don't know if we could do it. Well, it's a choice. These are policy choices. I would rather...
Yes. Oh my God, dude. He's killing it. He's killing it. He's freaking killing it.
I'd rather not spend $1 trillion on war. I'd rather spend that money on healthcare.
I take immunoglobulin for my immune system, and it's the same kind of thing, $10K per month or $10 with insurance. Yeah, you know what? Like, I don't have insurance right now, and y'all are making me, like, hella anxious. Hella anxious. I'm, like, thinking about it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I really hope I don't get sick this year. 'Cause, yeah, I don't have insurance right now. Kinda sucks. Kinda suck.
And schools and infrastructure.
The U.S. relationship with Israel has become a flashpoint
I think the absorbing is where there may be a difference in different people. Well, yeah.
in this race.
The question about Israel isn't about the theoretical right to exist of a country that exists. The question about Israel is, do they have a right to our tax dollars?
AIPAC is spending $30 million to defeat El Sayed, its largest single race investment ever.
Too radical for Michigan, too radical for the U.S. Senate.
And his opponent, Haley Stevens, has made her commitment to Israel very clear.
Hello from Israel! I will continue to fight for Israel's existence. Israel comes to me in my dreams.
Oh God, I hate her so much. I hate Haley Stevens so much. Oh, sheesh.
Most voters believe the U.S. is too supportive of Israel, according to a recent AP poll. So will El Sayed's message actually get him more votes in Michigan?
As a U.S. Senator, how would you seek to reorient U.S. foreign policy?
I don't believe in unconditional foreign military aid to anyone. I don't pay my taxes every year to be like, man, I can't wait for Israel to get a new tank. And then when it comes to Israel's own behavior, I think we need to engage them consistent with what they have done. They have perpetrated genocide. And before that, they were perpetrating apartheid, right? They lobbied to move us into a war. Now they're trying to annex southern Lebanon. Like, I just think that any other country that behaved that way would be treated as a rogue nation because they're violating international law.
A fear that a lot of American Jews have when they hear messaging against the state of Israel is that that is a slippery slope towards Jews don't belong in Israel-Palestine at all.
Oh my God, dude. Yes, because because people that are against, oh my God, people that are against ethno states believe that we should ban Jews from Israel. Are you, like, when has anyone literally ever said that ever? Like, let's be fucking for real.
I recognize that that land is a land that a lot of people have lived on, right? The most recent inhabitants before 1948 were the Palestinian people, but also historically the Jewish people. The problem, though, is that the implicit public policy of our government has been to aid, arm, and abet Israel's current government to the exclusion of the right to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinian people, right?
What would you say to people who are worried that withdrawing defense funding to Israel would make American Jews less safe here at home?
This idea that the things that we're doing with our our tax dollars to backstop a foreign government somehow makes Jewish folk more safe here, that doesn't make sense to me.
Fran Lab did a healthcare GoFundMe. At some point, you should consider it. Yeah, I would. I mean, I would love to have health insurance. I applied for. God, I always get them confused. Oops, I always get them confused. It's like there's Medicare and Medicaid, right? One of them's for old people, one of them's for poor people. I can't. I think Medicaid is. I can't remember which, but I applied. Right, I applied for it. And the system, because so many people got kicked off of their health, like so many people had their insurance premiums skyrocket. And so a lot of people were applying to Ohio's, whichever it is, Medicare or Medicaid, whatever. So, like, the system got overwhelmed, right? And by the time I heard back, they were like, hey, you need to send us this documentation because of reasons. And unfortunately, I just yeah. I missed the deadline because I got the letter really late. We don't need to get into it. Medicaid is for people. Medicare is for elderly. Okay. I applied for Medicaid, I got denied because they sent me a letter saying I needed to provide documentation to them. Like, and I received and opened the letter like 2 days before the deadline, and I couldn't make it work. So I got denied. And I'd have to reapply, but at this point, it's already so late in the year. If I apply now, I'm not going to get it till almost the end of the year. So like, sucks. But consuming content at faster speeds makes it easier to overlook lies. You need to pay attention to people's mannerisms and tics when they speak. I mean, I would agree with that. I don't think they're like, I don't know. I think if you listen to everything really fast because you're not processing people talking at normal speeds properly, I think that might make the problem worse for you. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, if you're watching me right now watch this video at 1x speed and you're like not able to process what's happening because it's too slow, like, I think that might say something about the way that you have trained your brain to absorb information. And I'm not trying to make it's not an attack. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not your mom. I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want. But I have a feeling about it. It feels icky to me. Like, it feels icky. So that's all I really got to say about it. My boss was bitching about Medi-Cal and how they're like, she thinks they're paying for homeless people in California. I had to explain to her that California pays more into the US than basically like they're subsidizing Kentucky. She didn't get it. Oh yeah, no, I get it. I saw Professor Dave's video to Destiny's video calling him anti-Semitic. It was really damning. Destiny seems like a real piece of crap. Destiny is just like a debate edgelord. That is all Destiny is. I don't have any respect for Destiny. All he cares about is having all he cares about is arguing. Like, I don't even think Destiny has positions. I don't even think he gives a fuck authentically about any position. I think Destiny is just obsessed with arguing with people. You can apply for Medicaid any time in the year. It's Medicare where they only give you a few months a year. Yeah. 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 I was gonna apply for it next year is when I was gonna reapply. I mean, I guess I could try to do it now, but I'm so busy with travel, like, cause like I've been traveling so much, right? When I applied for Medicaid, I got the letter requesting documentation, and I was gone, and then like by the time I opened it, it was too late. So, okay.
I start from a position of principle, which is to say that Jewish
Here,
Americans,
let me rewind a little bit here.
The most recent inhabitants before 1948 were the Palestinian people, but also historically the Jewish people. The problem, though, is that the implicit public policy of our government has been to aid, arm, and abet Israel's current government to the exclusion of the right to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinian people, right?
What would you say to...
You may want to consider getting as much paperwork by current standards ready as possible. I have the paperwork. I have the stuff that they requested. Just by, like, I opened the letter and they were like, by the way, you need to have this documentation to us tomorrow. And I couldn't make it work. Like, I didn't receive notice in time to actually, because like they're so overwhelmed that they couldn't get me the letter fast enough to, yeah.
To people who are worried that withdrawing defense funding to Israel would make American Jews less safe here at home.
This idea that the things that we're doing with our tax dollars to backstop a foreign government somehow makes Jewish folk more safe here, that doesn't make sense to me. I start from a position of principle, which is to say that Jewish Americans are not the same as AIPAC and Israel, that Jewish Americans deserve to live their lives unfettered and unencumbered by discrimination or hate, and that we have to fight together to build an America where that anti-Semitism is stamped out.
There is the largest Arab American community here in Michigan, and mostly are from the southern Lebanon. My dad is building this dream home for all of us as brothers or sisters, and it vanished in a couple of seconds, and the soldiers were laughing about demolishing the whole village. As an American citizen, I'm paying taxes for this government to bomb and kill us for what?
I appreciate you lifting your voice, and I'm sorry about your family's experience. What is happening in southern Lebanon right now is frankly an abomination. I intend to be a voice in the U.S. Senate to consistently advocate for our principles, and that we apply them everywhere, and that we apply them consistently.
Do you think that it's harder to change things so we're not being proactive anymore? Like it's easier just to let things keep going, like Israel, AIPAC. Is it just the easy way out?
I'm threatening a system of power that says you just go along to get along. The real issue in our politics is not right versus left. It's not like progressive versus conservative. It's not Democrat, Republican. It's people who are locked out of our healthcare, our housing, our economy, versus the people doing the locking out. I just want to always be on the side of the people who are locked out. In theory, my opponent in this race is Haley Stevens. My real opponent in this race is Chuck Schumer, every corporate PAC, AIPAC. They will run your name in the mud. They will lie about you. They will lie about their opponent. It doesn't matter as long as they maintain a control on power.
Damn, that was a great response. That was a great. I don't even know if I've ever heard someone exactly say it that way. But like, yeah, your opponent at the face of things is Haley Stevens, but your actual opponent are all of these big corporate PACs and billionaire money and Chuck Schumer, the establishments and stuff. Yeah, that's so true. Also, any time-sensitive documents you have to mail, go to the front desk so it is date-stamped. If you just drop it off at the post office or in a blue box, it could be delayed by 3 or 4. Yeah. That's what I was gonna do. Like, drive to the place where they want me to, or wait. Oh, I see what you're saying. Go to the front desk and have them date stamp. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I could do that. Like, honestly, I live close enough to the office where they could, like, I could have, like, I could go in person and hand those documents over. But I just didn't get notice in time to be able to do that. Is basically it.
One of the biggest attacks on El Sayed right now is that he will lose to Republican Mike Rogers. The Democratic establishment thinks that Stevens' ties to the Obama administration and her history as a U.S. representative since 2018 make her a safer bet. But recent polls slightly favor El Sayed's chances against Rogers.
I haven't decided who I'm going to vote for sure. I do think Stevens polls a lot better with like the older demographic who are much more likely to vote. I think Haley would have a better chance to beat him.
Does that impact how you're going to decide to vote?
Yes, for sure. When it comes to being against Mark Rogers, I want to hear how you can get your message out to people when you are facing these odds of people spending millions and millions of dollars that you don't necessarily have.
You beat Mike Rogers because you build something that embodies the hope and the joy that you want to have for the future. This is a guy who voted to raise prescription drug prices I don't know how many times. Then he helped to architect the opioid epidemic. He took $700,000 from the pharma industry. They're going to spend a whole lot of money trying to call me some combination between a communist and a terrorist. And I'm going to sit out there and be like, yeah, well, he's corrupt as hell. Now, I get it. I'm brown. I'm Muslim. I got a name you probably can't pronounce, right? But I was born and raised here. And I've taken the time to serve and listen. So I think that's how we beat him.
I do question his ability to win against a Republican. I feel that some of his beliefs turn off a large portion of the population.
Oh my God, this guy who's nodding in agreement to everything Abdul is saying, and then like, I don't know, let's see here. We got 41% of the votes counted. It's at 49.6, 46.6. So, he went down by like maybe 1% and she went up by like maybe 1%. It's closing. Like the gap is closing a little bit here. But again, it's 41% of the votes counted, so we can't make anything of it. Like we can't, you can't, there's nothing to make of it. Like there's nothing to say yet. You have to wait until it gets farther in before you can make any sort of statement about who's going to win.
Listening to his comments that he would like to abolish ICE. I have a hard time with that.
I'm Abdul Al-Sayed, the only Senate candidate for abolishing ICE, and I approve this message.
A lot of people in this room, abolish ICE is one where they are a little bit confused about what it means. Lena, you expressed some questions about what Abdul's immigration policy looks like.
I think we can put ICE to better use to protect our borders and protect Americans. How can we draw that fine line between utilizing this federal agency versus allowing them to go rogue as they've done recently?
Here's the thing. So I've run government agencies, and once they
Like we have we already have border patrol agents. ICE is literally was brought about to not be a border, to specifically not to do that. He clearly doesn't really understand that.
take on a certain culture is really hard to change the culture. Really, really, really hard. So under Trump, he started to recruit people who specifically came to ICE, not to specifically enforce immigration policy, but they're against immigration. The whole subtext of this is that Donald Trump sold this fallacy to people where he understood that people were in pain. You're out of a job. You're out of a home. You can't afford your health care. And his answer was a simple one. Well, if you're out of a job, it's because the immigrant took a job. Out of a home, immigrants living in your home. Out of health care, immigrants took a health care. And so he turned immigrants into the answer to everybody's problems. And then he built out ICE as a way of demonizing immigration itself. ICE itself has become a rogue agency based on a premise that is inconsistent with both the Constitution and the ideals of our country. We don't need it. In fact, we didn't have it before 2002. America's a lot older than 2002. So the notion that we can't protect our southern border or we can't enforce immigration policy without ICE is just not true. You get rid of the agency, you fire all the people in it, and then you ask yourself, what would you want to build that actually achieved the goals that we have? To keep a safe and secure southern border, to create a very clear pathway to citizenship for people, right? And in the cases where you have people who should not be here and do bad things, that you are very targeted in your enforcement, rather than making a show out of enforcing to tell all immigrants that they don't belong here.
That's very, very enlightening. Thank you.
Because I
Wow, that was a fantastic response.
think this goes to ICE and other things that our politics are so black and white. How do you change that narrative? Because we need to recognize each other as people again.
The problem with too many Democrats is it's too easy to point and say, I'm against Trump. You should vote for me. And you're like, well, from a policy standpoint, are you really for me?
Yeah.
You're taking money from all the worst people. So what would happen if we actually built a movement about what could be good? When we can start talking to folks who might have voted for Trump for a whole bunch of different reasons, to be like, all right, is your life better now? Do you have better health care? Do you have better access to a job? Can you afford a home? If no, here's an opportunity. Let's focus on that, right? So I just really appreciate you guys having this conversation that's like the lifeblood of what we do in our civics, and is really enlightening. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
What a guy, dude. What a guy. Honestly, killed it. That great at talking to people. The way he talked about every issue, fantastic. Pretty much no notes. I don't have any notes for the way that he messaged and the way that he talked to these people, the way that he answered these questions. I think he did a really good job of essentially he started off by targeting their concerns. And then he moved on to talk about how what he's advocating for is good for the country and good for everyone. And I really like how he approached things. I specifically like how he talked about ICE, right? Because the concern from the woman who brought it up about abolishing ICE was hey, I want to protect our southern border. I want, there, I think immigration needs some work and blah, blah, blah. So why don't we, basically saying you want to abolish ICE, but we need more, I don't know what she was saying really, but she was essentially saying why don't we use ICE to help with immigration issues at the southern border or whatever. And Abdul essentially said hey, ICE is not doing any of that. It's not helping. and we could abolish ICE and then construct something new that is useful. You know, like if you're concerned about stuff at our southern border, path to citizenship, all that shit, or like targeted enforcement of people who commit crimes or whatever, like we can work on that stuff, but ICE is not that. ICE is not the mechanism for that. And that we can build something better, and we don't need to be using this shitty system that we already have. On immigration, this wouldn't be a problem except capitalism requires an underclass serfs. Yeah, I know for sure. I mean, like the whole point of ICE, is to create a fear, like in immigrants, that like, oh, if you speak out, if you advocate for your rights, if you do whatever, if you step out of line, you're gone, you're gonzo, and that's pretty unfortunate. That's not very good stuff right there. All right, so here let's just finish up this video.
Appreciate you all.
Did Abdul change your mind on any issues?
Yeah, definitely on the ICE issue.
I think the way that Abdul spoke about Medicare for all, as far as it being a plausible and a tangible goal, was pretty enlightening, and I plan to vote for Abdul.
Shit.
I think that Abdul did change my mind about what I feel like I can expect from a politician who really believes what they say.
Him taking a stance on something, even if it's strong and people consider it maybe too strong, I think taking a stance means something.
It's an election. Anybody could lose. Haley Stevens could lose. And I'd rather, vote for somebody who I agree with on their policy points rather than somebody who I just think is against Trump. I've got my mail-in ballot at home. I'm gonna go home and fill it out and mail it in for Abdul Al-Sayed.
Oh my God, dude. He killed it. And did you notice that each person specifically said that they were won over by they all had specific issues that they were concerned about, right? Like obviously the one guy who votes Republican or whatever, and he's worried about his autistic child not having health care. There's the ICE issue for that other lady. Every single time he was able to talk to them about their concerns, he was able to win them over. And honestly, that's how politics should be done. That's the power of being a politician, is being able to talk to a variety of people from different life experiences and bring them over to an understanding of what you're advocating for and what you would like to do. And honestly, a lot of politicians nowadays, establishment politicians, they do that shit of oh, I'm just saying shit. You're going to ask me a question and I'm just going to waffle and waffle and waffle and waffle because I don't want to have to commit myself to a policy position that's against my corporate overlords. But obviously Abdul Al-Sayed doesn't have any of those connections. And I think that people can tell that kind of stuff. I think people can tell when someone authentically has a position and something that they want to improve in the country versus someone who's completely bought by corporate money.
The narrative in the media is that Al-Sayed's policies are too radical to win. But with these voters, who largely distrust both parties, his ideas broke through. Al-Sayed won't be able to sit down with every skeptical voter in the state, though. So I asked him what he thinks his path to victory in November actually looks like.
You talked to a bunch of voters who had voted for Trump, many who identified as Republican for a long time, and they all left the conversation yesterday saying that they're going to vote for you. Are there issues beyond sort of Medicare for all, which is your core, that you think have the potential to win over disaffected Trump voters in a general election?
Corporate monopoly. The corruption of our food system. The role of AI in society. The onslaught of data centers. You think about who's taking money from these corporations. Unfortunately, it's Democrats and Republicans. I always wonder why there's so much opposition to this in the Democratic Party. Yeah. And I keep coming back to the same answer, which is it's just laziness. It's laziness, and it's this sort of elitism. The laziness part is, well, if we can't get money from corporations, then we're actually going to have a message and go talk about our message anywhere and everywhere. I've done 450 public events. I challenge my opponent in this race to say how many events she's done, where she's actually taking questions. You got to do the work, it turns out. And then the elitism part is, well, the corporations are rich, and they throw the fanciest parties. And if I don't take their money, I'm not going to be invited to the party. I'm like, fuck your party. Who cares? You got the best room on the Titanic and don't realize that the whole Titanic's about to go down. I don't know, man. I just, I really struggle to understand the psychology of it.
Yeah. It seems to me that you are interested in something deeper than just winning this election, that it is actually fighting for some sort of change.
Losing this primary is not the worst outcome for me. The worst outcome is that I get the job and I fail to deliver. That's the worst outcome.
Oh, wow.
So I don't want to fight for the job and in the process hamstring myself from doing the work. I don't want to have been one of those senators that...
I love that he's passionate. Me too. This, I mean, like he's real. Like this guy's real as fuck. He's bleeding authenticity and passion.
You know, you had this power and then you sold out and then you can't even account for why you were there. So right now you've got the choice between 3 candidates, 2 of us in this primary and then 1 in the general. There's only one of us who's never taken money from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Only one of us who doesn't want to send your money abroad to drop bombs on other people and wants to keep it here to invest in your kids. There's only one of us. So, which do you pick?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this.
Amazing. Honestly, amazing. Killed it. What a great candidate. What a fantastic candidate. I honestly, like, for most people paying attention to the race, if they try to choose Stevens over him, like, it'll be a good, honestly, this is a good kind of test, right? Like, I've heard people talking about it. We can go back to the results to see where they're at. I've heard people talking about this race, and, you know, a lot of people talking about how this is sort of like a litmus test, because we've been seeing a lot of, like, DSA candidates, a lot of people like that winning recently, and we're not sure, like, is this a trend? Is this whatever? Like, are we really seeing the death of establishment Democrats in terms of running? Because, like, look, I've talked about this before, how, like, we need to take over the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, as it exists right now, needs to die. It needs to die. And there are a couple ways in which this will happen, right? Like, obviously replacing these establishment Democrats, obviously replacing them is a huge deal. But there is also a secondary effect that will be useful. And long term, I don't think it's what we should bet on. But a lot of these establishment Democrats I've talked about before do not have principles. They do not have principles. They do not care. They literally do whatever they think they can do to win. And so for them, a lot of that is like taking money, a corporate PAC money, and just like trying to appeal to moderate voters and blah, 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 blah. We know their game, right? Well, if enough of these progressive leftist candidates win, like if enough leftist candidates get into office, it'll signal to the Democratic Party that their strategy is not working anymore. And although it may be cynical, it may be like a cynical approach, there will be some Democratic politicians that'll start posturing to the left because they know that that's the only way that they're going to be able to win an election, right? And the cool thing about that is that they will have to advocate for positions that they probably don't want to enact, right? Like they would essentially have to abandon their corporate overlords, because they're not going to get corporate money advocating for the positions that like Abdul is getting or whatever. And it would be good for the party because it would signal the death of like the establishment Democratic way of doing things. Now, at the end of the day, I still think these people need replaced, right? Like if you have someone in office like Hakeem Jeffries, who like maybe he'll at some point, maybe he'll pivot and he'll stop being this like moderate centrist kind of right-leaning Democrat kind of guy. Maybe he'll start posturing more left or more progressive. I still think he needs to go because I think these cynical politicians have no place in office at this point. Like, I think we need to elect people who actually care, who care about this as a public service, who want to get things done, who want to improve things for people. I think that's important. I think that's really important, actually. And, like, honestly, that is the way forward. But right now, It would simply be useful if we could get if the establishment Democrats could just like lose the messaging war entirely and give up and just concede defeat to the fact that like the way that they're doing things, like this third way Democrat shit is just loser shit. It's just loser shit. It would be good for us. It would be good for us. So this stream has been going on for a long time. I will be back tomorrow. For those of you who are not aware, I have changed my streaming schedule. So I'm no longer Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be streaming Tuesday through Friday. That's going to be my streaming schedule. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here Thursday. I'll be here Friday. So you can look forward to seeing me a little more often. I might try to, it's been almost 3 hours. I might try to keep my streams down to about 2 hours so that they're a little more digestible, so that they're not as long. Maybe the gaming stream will go on longer or something, but like, yeah, overall, I will be here more often, and it'll be kind of nice because it'll give me more opportunities for content, more opportunities to grow the channel, more consistency here. So if you enjoy seeing me, congratulations, you're going to see me more often, which is cool. I forgot to ping the Discord. Fuck. I forgot to ping the Discord when I started stream. Oh, I suck. I suck. Anyway, no wonder I was looking at the viewer counts and I was like, wow, it's really like I'm getting like no one tonight. Like it's a dead stream tonight. And that kind of makes sense because I didn't do the thing that I was supposed to do. Cool. Anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up right now. I will be back tomorrow with another stream. I look forward to seeing you all back, and we'll have, you know, definitive answers about who has won the Michigan primary, and we can talk about that. That'll be exciting to hear about. Yeah, you know, it's very much a litmus test. It's kind of indicative like of what's going to be going on in the future. Like as we have more of these races, as we have the midterms, it'll become clear whether or not there is a leftist wave in this country and everything like that. So that'll be cool. All right. I appreciate you all so very much for being here. Thank you all very much for hanging out on the stream. Appreciate you. And make sure you all do me a little bit of a favor here and drink some water. And I will be back tomorrow with another stream. So until then, do you do indoor light show? What do you mean? What do you mean? What is that? I don't even know. I don't know what you mean by that, Rusty. Good morning. The election shaping up the U.S. really interesting this morning. Regards from Ulrich. Hey, good morning, Sophie. We were actually getting ready to light flow art. Oh, you mean you want me to do like flow art? I can't really spin inside this room. It's kind of like a small room. I post my flow art stuff on Instagram. I'm gonna be getting a new LED prop soon. The hammer, the thing that I post all the time, the oxbow, the thing that I post on Instagram. I'm gonna be always coming in late, but it's early for me. No, I get you. You wake up when you wake up, right? But you can watch the VOD if you want. It'll be up here. But good news is I will be streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday every week. I'm changing the stream schedule to be here a little more often, so that should be cool for everybody. But yeah, if you want to see my flow arts content, then you can check me out on Instagram. My link is in the video and stuff. Anyway, I appreciate you all very much. And I will be back tomorrow with another stream. So I will see you all then. Hey all, what did I miss? You missed the stream. I'm sorry. Oh my god, everybody. I always feel incredibly guilty. When people pop in as I am wrapping up, it makes me feel like I should go for another hour just so that you like have something to get out of the stream or whatever. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I feel guilty. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. So Dice Man, I'm gonna stream Tuesday through Friday now. I will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday evenings every week. Should be exciting. Should be awesome. But yeah, I appreciate you all so very much. I hope you have a great day or night or whatever time it is for you. Make sure you drink some water, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. So peace out.